Okay, hello everybody. I'm Ralf from Taltech here with Marko Nieminen from Aalto University, and we are very happy to provide you an overview of our strategy, how to build first cross-border smart city research center and demo lab. And maybe one thing I mentioned before I hand it over to Professor Marko Nieminen is that we are mainly focusing on the strategy and goal of the center, and will provide you with some updated info on this as well, meaning that what we actually want to achieve, not that much what is like the small details what we're working on. So I will give the floor over to you, and later I will introduce the piloting concept.
Okay, very well. Yeah, thank you, Ralf. Hello, everyone. Also from my direction, I'm happy to be here, and it is nice to have many of us around here on the. I think this is the first Finnish Twins. At least internal conference that we hope to become kind of something that will eventually become a sustainable and continuing practice in the future as well. So if we look at the content of our Finnish Twins research and innovation agenda, what we all know, what we have been presenting already earlier very much, we have these 5 different streams: smart city governance, mobility, built environment, energy, urban analytics, and data. We will be hearing today in those different presentations the details and results from the ongoing, some results of the ongoing work, and I will leave that to the experts and leaders and presenters from the stream. So stay tuned for interesting information in those presentations. The background for our project, however, as we start thinking of the, let's say, funding and the intents from the European Commission, I recall the event when we started, where we're sort of receiving the certificates of the funding, was that this project in fact is about the establishment of a new research institute, collaborative research institute in collaborative run by Estonia and Finland, Aalto University and Taltech. But the aim is to create a sustainable and financially sustainable research center of excellence, where research on smart city technologies, practices, and solutions will be studied. And obviously, as such research center, it should be also internationally connected, and that kind of aim is important to keep in mind. We are going to be working together with not just with researchers from Aalto and Taltech, but we wish to include also prominent scholars and researchers and innovators around the world for this. And that's why that is the aim of the Center of Excellence, that these the top class, let's say, innovators and researchers would become interested in the work that is being done here. For that, we're going to be introducing, let's say, a couple of mechanisms as well, out of which the affiliation model is one that has been introduced recently, which means that researchers, first of all, obviously from Aalto and Taltech, can participate in that, but we are willing to include also researchers from elsewhere to become affiliated with the Center of Excellence. And the idea is that through this affiliation, the participants can then publish their works, research works, collaborate together in the context of this center, and also apply for interesting or spearhead research projects from different research funding organizations to work on these spearhead themes in this. What this essentially means, if we go to the next part or slide here, is that it means that there needs to be some addressing of the, let's say, what does excellence actually mean? And this was actually pointed out in the most recent steering committee event that was organized a month ago. And the steering committee discussed that how should we explicitly address excellence, research excellence, and I would like to include also the industrial excellence in a sense in that. That would create good ways to address the public-private people partnership that was mentioned in the previous slide in a systematic and explicitly mentioned way, so that there are clear goals that we can achieve through the work that is being done in all of the work. And I would say that in many ways, this part is at the core of the request from the Commission viewpoint as well, that the work that is being done in the research streams, obviously it is very much, it needs to be high quality, top class research, top class innovation work. But at the same time, the aim with all that work is to contribute to the sustainable operation and future work of the Center of Excellence that is under development at the moment. So this is perhaps something that I would like to emphasize, that at the same time as everyone is working on the research, especially the stream leaders would also consider how could this research that we are doing in the future live or be part of the research activities of the Center of Excellence that will be established, that is under construction right now, and consider also the working practices and the arrangements on that. The KPIs that have been laid out that we have promised to Commission include actually publications and this research funding application in addition to the pilots that are being organized. So these are the things to look for. They are the kind of KPIs, measurable outcomes. Looking at these from the viewpoint of this excellence direction, it might be fair to say that instead of looking for great amount or the numbers to be very high, what we wish to that is being considered is the impact. What kind of impact and influence we can have and we will have in research world, obviously. That is about research excellence, but I would also like to emphasize the industrial or societal impact. Through the pilots, how can we point out that the work and the research and the innovation has had some impact on the surrounding. These kinds of things are worth considering when we are working on our future plans, be it the piloting, be it the research plans, explicitly trying to outline what kind of excellent, impactful outcomes we're going to receive from this. I think this is perhaps the current state or current status of the discussion and development of the center as such. Okay, I think, Ralf, you can continue from this onwards.
Thank you so much, and I'm happy to introduce you the concept of pilot program as well, even though you already have been listening to some of the pilots that have been selected as ideas to be kicked off from this year. But maybe it's good to give like the rationale for that as well. And the very key point here is that approximately 1 year ago we did a strategic decision that we will invest most of Estonian government co-funding into setting up a center into the pilot program, and here there is a link to research and innovation streams as well. But this pilot program, sorry, this pilot program is driven by actual urban challenges. So in a way, it is not following the strict silos of research streams, but here the triggering part of which kind of pilots we are introducing is based on the city challenges. And so we are over the next 6-7 years to come, we are implementing 10 large-scale pilots, and we expect research excellence, innovativeness, feasibility, and impact from them, and most importantly also growth potential of the center. So we need to contribute directly to building the center to the globally renowned and competitive one. So the model itself started with mapping those city challenges. We involved 35 local governments in Estonia to this process because at least one city or local government needs to be from Estonia. One can be outside as well. And as a result, jointly with cities, we agreed upon 10 main challenges. And in the second stage, we opened those challenges for idea competition. And based on that, we have a list of the top 10 ideas promoted what could be done in terms of pilots, and we have selected 4 of them to be started from this year, and some of them have already been introduced. So this is more like giving rationale why we are doing it, and how we come to the actual smart city solutions that are research based as well. And so what are the actual urban challenges? What we have been mapping jointly with cities is that we ask them to provide us not the problems, issues they have at the moment, but asked their input on what are the future challenges coming up in 5 years, 10 years, what we are facing with. And the ones in bold are the ones we are actually facing directly with pilots that have been selected. So the first one is that the energy consumption of buildings is too high, clearly a shared challenge of several local governments. Second one, urban mobility does not combine the full potential of different modes of transport, clearly much shared problem of local governments, and then also energy supply and transport infrastructure for industrial development is low. This is mainly issue in smaller local governments, outside ones that have actual issue with attracting industry to their areas because of energy supply. And then the last one to mention is that urban planning is not comprehensive, optimal, and sustainable. So this is what we have agreed and upon, and as input what we received from cities, and as based on this, we opened up this competition for ideas. We received 71 ideas, and through different selection mechanism, we ended up with 4 pilots to be started from this year. And you have already been introduced to some of them, but if you want to have more detailed information, please visit this website as well. And so this is the list what our steering committee has confirmed as the first ideas to be started with. So one pilot on digi-audit with cities of Tallinn and Aalto involved, our one transport ecosystem management with city of Tallinn and its neighboring area local government involved. Then we have microgrids with energy storage pilot with local governments, cities of Tartu and Paldiski involved, and then lastly we have also very importantly Green Twins project with Tallinn and Helsinki involved. So this is briefly an overview and update from our side. Thank you very much for attending, for listening, and if you have any questions, comments, please do ask them either here or later from myself or from Marko as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
Joni? Yeah. Hey.
I left the meeting.
Yeah. I was thinking that because we don't know how to